We are recording.
All right. Awesome. Okay, are you starting or do you want me to start?
Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome to our Monday night call. So for those of you who are new to us tonight that weren't here last week with us, we are doing this Monday call every Monday at 7 p.m. Same Zoom link. You're welcome to invite your builders onto the call. We're going to try and keep it semi-basic for people to not make it complicated. So this is a good opportunity to bring your people on at whatever level they're at. And so for those, I think everybody knows me. I'm not going to introduce myself because I'm pretty sure everybody knows me. For those of you who don't know, Andrew is
Hello.
my husband. He actually started this Monday night call with the Nelsons, Jared Nelson and the other Nelsons that are labeled. There's 3 of them there. And there's another Nelson in Hawaii that's trying to get on. Anyways, this is Andrew's leg that he started. And it's been really awesome. So he's been running this call, and we were just thinking that it would be good to get everybody on, open it up to our team to be able to mastermind together and grow together. I know that in the beginning, when we first got started with our business, it was one of the ways that we were able to grow really quickly because our team was all kind of on the same page, and we were able to generate ideas and inspiration from one another, and it was just really motivating. And so that's what our goal is here, is to just try and help everybody be consistent. I think was the biggest takeaway probably from last week, is that consistency is what's going to create your business. And so whatever you can do to be consistent, we're hoping that with a consistent team call every week, that it will help keep you motivated to work your business as well, and keep your mind going in that direction of focusing on those kinds of things. So tonight, so last week we talked about a couple of different things about how to teach at classes, how, like what the high points were, what to do right, what not to do. And we talked about that consistency of having a class every month or every week, kind of same time, same night, the things that you need for it. And then we had some suggestions of things that we could talk about this week from some of the people that were on last week. And so that's what we're going to be covering tonight. We are going to keep it to 45 minutes. And then the last 15 minutes, probably do a Q&A. So if you have questions that come up during it, jot them down, or you can write them in the chat. We'll get to them towards the end, or if it's applicable in the moment, we'll answer it right then. So the first thing that we want to cover tonight is the kind of the invitation process of inviting. Like, how do you successfully invite people to a one-to-one or to a class? Essentially, how do you invite people to learn more about the oils, right? So one thing we have some amazing ladies on tonight, our top enrollers for this month. We've got several of them on tonight, which I'm jazzed that they're going to share with us kind of their tips on what they're doing in their business that is helping them. So thank you, ladies, for getting on and joining us and sharing your wisdom. Before I get to them, though, one thing that I wanted to share just from my perspective is a hunter versus gatherer mentality when you're inviting people, right? So when we approach people, if somebody were to approach you as a hunter versus a gatherer, which one would you rather have? Would you rather have them like be hunting you? Would you rather them it be like they're gathering you? Much like, okay, exactly. So if you think about that approach when you're going to people, if you're thinking about like going for the kill and like you're like gonna get them, and you kind of have this like crazy mentality about how you're going to enroll them, and like you're just like kind of fanatical about your approach, it's really off-putting to people, first of all. But if we look at it more like we're planting seeds, we're watering those seeds. We're going to be able to harvest what we have planted, you know, gather those things in. It is maybe a more gentle process, but it's also a more effective process rather than like going in for the kill. Because a lot of times when you have that mentality or that way of going about prospecting people, they run away because it's really scary. And it feels yucky. And while our products are amazing, our business is amazing, you are all amazing, our energy though, people don't know what it is that we're really trying to share with them. And a lot of people have a negative stigma about direct sales, network marketing, multi-level marketing, whatever you want to call it. And so if they know that that's what's going on and you're approaching it from like a hunter aspect rather than from a gathering aspect, it will send out a vibe that is going to make people kind of afraid of what you have because you're being kind of crazy about the approach. So that is the first thing that I would just kind of caution everybody when you are out there and inviting people. Just be aware of the vibe you're putting off, the way that you're talking to people, so that you're just check your vibe, basically. And I talk about this all the time, whether it's inviting or in teaching or in the close or in the follow-up, whatever it is, just make sure that you're coming from a good place, a good genuine place, not from like a place of being attached, which we're going to talk again about in the close, because these are like really critical places, where you're going to invite somebody and then where you're going to try and sell them a kit or something like that. You want to make sure that you're checking your headspace before you start that process. Otherwise you can put out this like murky kind of feeling to people that they don't know what's going on. They just know it feels gross. So, okay, we are going to turn this over. Let's see, Julie, let's have you go first. Julie is consistently one of our top enrollers. She has been for a really long time. I would dare say that she's there 90% of the time as a top enroller. So she's a rock star at inviting people. She does a lot of her stuff one-to-one. So it's a great opportunity. I mean, obviously you can kind of take her script or her approach to a class or to a one-to-one. But we are gonna let her teach us how she invites people to learn more.
All right. Hey, thanks for asking me to share. So that was really cool and a neat honor. Yeah, most of my inviting is inviting people to one-on-ones right now. It's a little bit different than in the very beginning when I was inviting people to classes, but you use the same concepts. So the same concepts that I use to invite people to classes are the same exact concepts that I use to invite people to a one-on-one. And so the first thing that is the most important is that you have to have a class to invite them to, or you have to have time on your calendar that you're going to do a one-on-one. Because if you just start, you know, ho-humming, talking to people saying, oh, I'm going to have a class, I'll invite you when I have one, then you've lost some of the momentum. So I love what Christy said about hunting versus gathering, and planting seeds and watering seeds and nurturing and all of those things. One of the things that I've tried to do is to shorten the watering process and shorten the nurturing process. And it doesn't always work that way. So always taking someone to the next step. So I use the very same concepts every single time. The words might change a little bit, but if I'm meeting somebody, so I do a lot of like just talking to people when I'm out and about. And if I find out what exactly it is that they're interested in, then I can take it to the next level. So for me, I lean really hard into what I already know that I do good, which is ask questions. And so I will ask people a lot of questions before I even get to the point where I even invite them to a class, because people love to talk about themselves, right? And so if you get them talking about themselves, they're going to naturally, you'll build some rapport, you'll build some trust. So once I actually get through the questions, just the basic things like, oh, where are you from? How many kids do you have? It's not far-fetched for me to like literally approach someone who's coughing at the grocery store. And I'll just say, oh, what are you doing for your cough? And offer a solution at that point. But the key words for me are no matter where I am, because I never try to sell anything on the fly, right? So I never try to like sell anybody anything on the fly. I will usually say to them, you know, this is really chaotic. You're here picking out your bananas, or you're at this vendor event and you didn't come to listen to a class, or you're in line at the grocery store. You certainly didn't want to hear about this. So the words that I use are usually what I do is I want to be able to talk to you a little bit outside of this chaotic environment. And we'll go over a little bit about the company. We'll talk a little bit about the oils. But what we're going to do is we're going to dive in really deep to the things that matter most to you so that I don't waste your time and I show you what you can actually utilize in your life. You don't have to buy anything, but if you see something that you want to order, I'll be happy to share it with you. My part takes about 30 minutes. I have Tuesday or Thursday open, which works best. And so I use that same exact script over and over and over and over. Yeah, Emerge training. That's exactly right, Angie. But Emerge training with a twist, right? With your own little special touch. So whatever it is that you do it better. Because I don't have all the magic words, but I have the concepts. So usually I can get people to actually set up a time with me at that point in time. Do they cancel? They used to cancel a lot because I missed some of the part. Like I didn't ask enough questions. I didn't find out, you know, what it is they were trying to solve. So when I actually get my one-on-ones or a class, I make sure to touch base with them the day before or the morning of, depending on when the class or the one-on-one is. And I'll just say, I'm looking forward to seeing you. Is there any other health concerns that you would like to go over so I know that I'm prepared? And they'll tell you, oh, I forgot to tell you, my husband has this or my son has that. And the same thing can work for a class. So if you're reconfirming a class invite, you could say, I want to make sure I have enough supplies. I'm saving a seat for you. Would you like to make sure that, you know, oh, and by the way, if you're coming to a class, bring a friend. And so those are just some of the tips that I use for an ongoing basis as far as successfully inviting people to a class. I could go on and on and on, but she said we only have.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Julie. So one thing I was going to ask you, Julie, is, you know, say the approach in the grocery store, you go up and you find somebody and you ask them what they're doing with their cough. Do you carry samples on you to be able to give to people? So you guys are not going to like this answer. I don't sample. But there's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah, I typically don't sample. I never have. But I think part of why I cannot sample is because I know what I'm good at and I don't have to rely on a sample. Now, if I sample and it's going to be really effective, I would be all over it. I have nothing against sampling. But I would offer somebody something in church maybe, but I don't know if I would offer them a sample at the grocery store. Maybe I would give them a drop.
Yeah. So I really actually do. I love that answer, actually, Julie, because it demonstrates that you can be a top enroller and you can be effective without sampling. A lot of people in this business tell you that you have to sample in order to be successful. I didn't sample a lot in order to be successful. If sampling is your jam, definitely use that approach, right? It's different for everybody. And so whatever works for you is the thing that you want to make sure that you are doing. Okay. Thank you, Julie. All right. Next up, we are going to pull in Maria. She is on fire right now. Holy cow. I love checking my back office to see who the top enroller is and what's going on. And right now, Maria has 10 enrollments this month. And I don't have my numbers with me, but I know that she's been a top enroller like every month for like the last 3 months. So she is rocking her business right now, and I am really excited to hear from her and what's working and what is creating this fire happening.
Well, thanks for pulling me in. That was unexpected. I didn't know. I didn't come prepared. But just like it's an honor to be pulled in, man. Yeah, it feels good. I'm doing pretty well so far. It's feeling like I've got some wins going on, which is really exciting. And my recent success has just been from month after month, consistently building relationships with new people. If you know me, I'm not necessarily a people person. Like that's not my go-to. So it's kind of out of my comfort zone to make new friends. But after quite a while of staying at the same place, I realized I had to. And so I'm doing things like events. I am doing networking events where it's just like other women who are doing similar things to what I'm doing, not even interested in oils, but I find that like you're talking about the gathering, just bringing them in, being friends with them. And yeah, like Julie said, always having something to invite them to, always having a time. I've got 2 days a week that I am kid-free. And those are like my times. You know, if I meet somebody new, all right, what are you doing on Tuesday or Thursday? Because it is literally the only time I have that I can meet with you without a toddler running around. But yeah, just developing those relationships. And I think one thing that's always stuck with me is not being connected to the outcome. You know, I'm not befriending you just so you'll enroll. I'm befriending you because I think you're a cool person, like you're a fellow woman, you're a fellow whatever, you know, you're a fellow child of God. That's what I really look at in my eyes. And so it's more about the people than the outcome. And I think having that switch in my brain, you know, not even in the way I did things, because I probably did things similarly, but just in my brain to not be connected to the outcome. You know, if they enroll, great. If they don't, great. But when you have that approach going into it, I just find that everything flows a lot more nicely. Like some of my enrollments this month are people I met almost a year ago. And it's like, finally, like it's about dang time you got a kid or whatever, you know, but it's that consistent and that caring more about the person than the sale. It's been the game changer for me.
I love that. I love that. I love how everybody has a different approach. And that was why I wanted to bring on a couple different of our top enrollers, because they are all very different ladies and they have all totally different circumstances. And your perspectives are, I just love being able to pull from each of you and to be able to see your different perspectives. So Maria, I had a question for you. What was it? Maybe it wasn't a question, maybe it was a comment. That I just love that plug for consistency, which is one of the things that we talked about last week in making sure that you have, that you're continuing to build those relationships and that you're not attached to the outcome. That is so huge. And I'm going to touch on that a little bit more in the close part of it. But that is definitely a key aspect of being successful in this business, is not being married to the outcome. And I totally feel you on, you know, people enrolling a year later. I know that that's, you know, for us has been a consistent thing where you continue to just that follow-up. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more in just a minute. Just that follow-up, letting them know that when they're ready, you're still here. I know that my sister-in-law, Joni, is having the same success. She's been doing this since I've been doing this. We started together, and she ended up getting a yoga studio in town, and the woman that owns the yoga studio invited her, will you come and teach classes in my yoga studio? And they've mixed it up. They've done a bunch of different things. Saturday, they did a like foods class with essential oils and had 6 ladies attend. Like 3 of them were supposed to enroll. This yoga lady, she's already got 3 enrollments this month. And so that would put her at like 6 enrollments if she gets these other 3. But it's just about building relationships with people in the community, building relationships with people that you just come across, whether it's at church or the park or like Julie, the grocery store, whatever, you know, the coffee shop, and being consistent with them. And, you know, social media makes it really easy to stay in touch with people and be able to, you know, comment on their posts and like their pictures and be genuine about, you know, your approach. And like Maria said, you know, that that you are genuinely caring about people and their lives, and not just because you see them as a, power of three plug, or, a placeholder or whatever, that you genuinely care about them, because it's going to be that caring that is going to convert them. That also helps, that thing that I was talking about the network marketing industry or the MLM industry. A lot of people feel like that they're just a number, right? That they're just like a bonus for you. And that's why it repels people a lot of times when they find out what kind of industry we're in. And us being genuine in the way that Maria is talking about helps overcome that kind of mentality and allows them to see the good aspect of what network marketing can be. So thank you, Maria, for sharing those thoughts. Sorry, I put you on the spot. I had reached out to Rachel. I told her to send me your number. I said that I really wanted you on tonight. I somehow thought you got the message, but apparently you didn't get my ESP. So sorry, and thank you. Okay. We are going to pull in another top enroller who is also equally amazing in her business, and she's been at the top of top enrollers too. These three actually kind of rotate position of who's on top each month. So we are going to pull in Lori, and she is going to share with us what's working for her in her business, and what she does to get people to one-to-ones or to classes or whatever's working. So, Lori.
Thanks, Christy. I feel like Julie and Maria said, and you, Christy said, like a lot of the things I was thinking. But one thing that really hit me when I was listening to I think it was the Empowered Success After convention, that if you don't have water in your pipes, you can't do the pipes activities. And so I think the biggest prerequisite to inviting is to have people to invite. And I am like painfully shy. So like, as you were talking, my heart is like pounding because I have to talk in front of people. But so I am not the type of person that is going to meet people in a grocery store. I'm like your classic New Englander, head down, get my food, get out. But I want very, very much to have a deep connection with someone. And I have found that the best way to do that is to have a mindset of I am a servant before a salesman. I have to genuinely care about other people and their needs and their objections and their concerns and all the things. And you can do that by like, we've been talking about this with one of my boys, like you can listen to respond or you can listen to understand. And listening to people to understand where they're coming from, to hear their pain so that they feel seen, so that they feel valued and that they matter to somebody. I think that's a rare thing in our culture a lot of the time. And when you can build that connection, whether it's having 10 one-on-ones or 1 or 2 classes, or having people want to host a class for you, that's where I have had the most success. And I think when you give people positive experiences, whether it's an oil for sampling or just like listening and showing them that you care, that is going to be just as powerful as the oils that you are inviting them to learn about and try.
Okay, sorry, I muted myself. I love what you said about that. Is seriously one of my key phrases in life when I'm talking to people is, are you listening to understand, or are you listening just like, are you listening to respond, or are you listening to really understand what's happening? And that's a key thing actually in our family that we talk about often is, our, like with our teenage daughter, especially with us or with her friends, or Andrew and I with one another, like, are we listening to hear the other person and to understand them, or are we listening to respond to them? And that it is so key to shut your mouth sometimes and just listen. I know that sometimes it can be super uncomfortable in a situation where you're talking to people and it goes quiet. The best thing you can do is ask a question and get them talking, like Julie had said. And if it takes them a minute to answer a question, it's okay. Like for me, for example, Andrew and I can be in a car driving, and he will ask me a question and I will sit there and he's like, "Are you listening to me?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm thinking." Like, it just, sometimes I want to give an honest answer and it takes me a minute to decide what's honest to me, and to be able to also sometimes with people put my words into a phrase that is going to be well received. That was a really tactful way of saying that, huh? To not be off-putting. So I think that, don't be quick to feel the silence. Allow people to think, allow them to respond. That is one of the best ways that you can allow people to feel heard. And just like what Lori is talking about, just to feel like you genuinely care. And I love that she highlighted, that she's not the person who's going to go meet somebody in the store. Again, we're talking about diversity in this business. I know that there are other teams in this business that will say, this is the only way of doing this business is in this certain box. And you will never hear that from me ever, because I do not believe it. I think that as diverse as we are, that's as many ways as we can be successful in this business. You just have to find your groove. So I love that Julie has found hers, and Maria has found hers, and Lori has found hers, and they are all totally different, but at the heart of all of it is a genuine connection to people and allowing people to share what's going on inside their head and their hearts, and what their frustrations are. And the more you listen to them, the more they're going to trust you and open up to you and feel like they can share with you their health concerns or their stress level or, whatever, so that you can try and be a solutions provider for them. But if you are just putting off that icky vibe, like I was talking about, people aren't going to want to confide in you. So it's really important to just make sure that whatever approach you're approaching it from, that you're doing it from a genuine place, because a salesman is not going to convert people. Okay, perfect. So I had a couple of others that I wanted to have on. So that's okay. We are screaming up on our 45 minutes. So let's go on to the next section, which is going to be following up. Why do we follow up, and how do we follow up? So I am the prime example of how following up is beneficial. My upline, Brianna, I had gone to her and asked her, I knew she was naturally minded and just in general. And so when I was actually pregnant with our third child, and I was sick, and sicker than I had ever been with any of my pregnancies. It was so outside of my realm. And I was becoming more aware of what was happening with over-the-counter medications and ingredients in food. And I was kind of having that awakening, right, to a more natural lifestyle. So I went to her and I'm like, what do you recommend? And in the course of all of that, we started talking about oils for our son. And so I got started with oils. I had never been to a class. I had never even really been to a one-to-one. I went to her. I bought a Modern Essentials book. I did the research myself. I went back to her and said, okay, I want to get some oils. And she followed up with me for a good year and a half to see if I wanted to do the business opportunity. And every single time I told her, no, I'm so not interested. So not interested. I love the products. That's as far as it's going. And I mean, this is a year and a half, you guys, a year and a half, like how Marie is talking about, somebody just enrolled from a year ago. Sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes it takes like 13 touches in order for somebody to convert. For me, it was a year and a half of her asking me, so you open hearing about the business opportunity yet? Nope, nope, nope. Forever and ever and ever. And then one day she changed her approach and she said, hey, I am wondering if you can help me with something. And she said, I am doing Diamond Club and I wanted to see if you know anybody who might be willing to host a class for me. And out of the area, like she had to do her out of area classes. And I was like, yeah, I think that there is somebody that I could have host a class for you, which happened to be Joni, my sister-in-law, and my mom, because they live in the same town. And they were totally open to hosting a class for her. And she made that trip up to Wyoming 3 or 4 times that summer and did a bunch of classes up there for Joni. And Joni ended up with her bonus, her Power of 3 bonus before I did. And I was like, what is happening here? She's making money and I'm not. And it kind of got my attention. And then she came up with a secondary question. Hey, I have another thing I was wondering if you could help me with. And it was that she had found an advertiser online. She had no idea really what to do with them, was wondering if I could help, because that's what Andrew and I did before doTERRA was web development. And so for me, it was, so Diana just asked, how did she follow up with you without feeling pushy? Honestly, it was just super genuine. I knew that she saw something in me that she thought I would be good at the business. We already had our own business. And so I think that just genuinely, she thought that it would be a good fit for me. And I was obviously inclined to live more naturally. That's why I had hunted down these products. But I was super against network marketing and very closed-minded to it as far as the business was concerned. But I knew that she was coming from a genuine place. And so it wasn't annoying. I never felt annoyed or like she was being pushy with me. And I think that it's because I didn't feel like she was attached to the outcome. I felt like it was genuine. And so when she finally, but when she changed her approach and said, hey, can you help me? Like, how many people are inclined to help somebody else, right? Like we are so, it's really like human nature to help another person. So that was really what got me in this business, is she asked me, can you help me? And I was like, absolutely, I can totally find somebody to host a class for you. So that's where your customers are going to come in. When we're talking about you running out of your warm market, don't overlook your customer base, your people that love these products. Go to them, ask them, can you help me? I'm looking for people to teach. Would you be willing to host a class for me? Do you know somebody who might be interested in blah, blah, blah? That actually is a really good segue into a business. Andrew, can I pull you in for a second? Is that okay? I would love for you to share that. So Elise Shedevy is doing a 10 Builders in 10 Days program, and he was listening to one of her calls, and she kind of had a script. And I just think it's really invaluable. Again, what Julie is talking about with questions, getting people talking, I think that this is really good, but also having a list of kind of what you're looking for. So is that okay, Andrew, if you share with us what Elise had kind of talked about?
So on her call, she recorded the call so that we could just kind of hear how she approached somebody. And as she called this person, she first, talked to him a little bit and asked how they were doing and everything. And then she said, I wanted your opinion because I'm looking for some people to work with me in my business. And the person that she was talking to knew about her business and what she was doing. And she said, I want to find a person that meets these criteria. And during that, she just kind of went through the criteria of what it was. And it was things like that she wanted the person to be naturally minded, someone that's motivated, that has some business sense, somebody that could use a supplemental income or even a full-time income. And then she said, and then somebody that would really be someone she could partner with and invest her time into. And this lady responded and she says, yeah, there's a couple people that come to mind. And she started talking about those people and how they could maybe connect her together with those people. And then as they continued talking, the lady that Elise Sedvey was talking to said, I think I might be interested, and I feel like I meet a lot of those criteria as well. And so at that point, Elise paused the call, at least in the video, and then said that she had finished up the call with her and that she had an appointment to go a little bit more in depth in the company with the lady that she had the call with, and then also set up a time to meet with those other people. And so first thing, she had a new leader that wanted to build, and she had 2 people that she knew of. And so I just kind of like that approach where she wasn't approaching them directly and saying, hey, I want you. She was saying, can you help me here? And in the process, that person said, I would like to be helped here as well. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love that approach too. And the reason why I pulled him in is because that approach can work for people hosting your classes as well as people potentially being interested in joining you in the business. So whatever it is that you're looking for in that moment, you could use that approach for hey, do you know anybody that might be open to hosting a class? They, may be an influencer, be connected to other people, have a kind of a wellness lifestyle already that people already respect them for that lifestyle. Like create your own list, whatever makes sense to you, the kind of people that you're looking for. You can do the same thing with the business side in that way, and creating those kind of questions. And you can go to your customer base for both sides of it, right? You can do it as a business, or you can do it from a product standpoint as well for hosting classes. So in following up, so the follow-up for me and Brianna, what she did, it was for the business, right? She was following up with me for the business. And obviously it's made a huge difference because I said yes. I loved your comment, Julie. Thank you. I'm glad I said yes as well. But my friend Chelsea, who is actually Brianna's upline, her story is a little bit different. Her friend, Jen Garrett, who is also in our upline, had gone to Chelsea and invited her to a class. And Chelsea genuinely was just busy and she could not make it. And for like 6 months, she kept inviting her to a class. I'm having another class. Would you like to come? And she's like, oh, I'm really sorry. I can't tonight. I'm really busy. And she genuinely was not trying to ignore her. She really was just busy. And at one point she had told her, keep inviting me. I really do want to come. Keep telling me when they are. And I think that is the beauty of having a consistent class set up or a consistent work time, like Maria was talking about, that she has those slots available for one-to-ones, so that when that time comes that they are available, that you're still there doing what you were doing in the first place when you invited them, right? So for those of you who don't know, we are holding a class weekly. It's every Thursday night, 7 p.m., same location, like without fail, except for on Thanksgiving, right? But the consistency aspect of it helps the people that are coming know that they can bring other people back, but also the people that are inviting, that they have something that they can rely on to be able to invite people to. So it's a win-win on both sides in being able to have that set meeting time every week, same time, same place, same gig, same class. Like Boyd Truman, he is, what is he now? I think are they triple Presidential Diamonds now?
They are.
I think they are. So with them, he teach the same class over and over and over, just a basics essential oil 101. You don't have to get funsies. You don't have to get clever and cute with your classes. You can if you want to, but that's how he built his business, off of teaching the exact same class over and over and over. And it was because that's what people need. They need basic information generally first, right? They don't necessarily need like essential oils, the clever way of using them, they just need like, I have a headache. What am I going to use for that? So just keeping it really simple and basic. So Chelsea ended up attending a class at one point, and here we all are. So don't discount the length of time that sometimes it takes people to join in. Now, there are other people where it's like, you sample them, you follow up, they're interested, they attend a class, they sign up, they're ready to go, right? Sometimes it's you just extend the invitation, they attend a class, they enroll, you're ready to go. It's not going to be like that with everybody. And that is the beauty in following up, is making sure that, if Brianna had given up on me after month 1 or even month 6 or even after a year, we wouldn't all be here. So I think that it is really important. Don't overlook the follow-up, because it is going to be those kinds of things that can help build your business substantially. I love what Julie just said, that repeating the same thing creates mastery. It helps you be comfortable in teaching. It helps you be comfortable in your close. It helps you be comfortable in inviting. If you keep doing that over and over and over, you can refine your own process and figure out what works for you and be able to get it down to a science where you're able to really create a good effect in your approach. Jared, please open it up. So Jared just asked if he can share something about following up.
So I did door-to-door sales for 7 years, which is some sort of mental illness, I'm sure. But one thing that I found was sometimes you had to re-knock in an area you'd already knocked. And it was really a psychological difficulty, because you already talked to these people. But I found that often there was good success in these areas. And an interesting statistic that I read a long time ago was that on your 4th follow-up is when 10% of your sales are made. 80% of your sales happen from the 5th and beyond. And so what really changed my mindset is often what we have is this plan of the class or whatever. That's like our goal, is get them to the class. If you change your mindset to being, instead of the class being the end goal, having your 6th follow-up, your end goal, and then planning those follow-ups, you're going to have a lot more success, and it won't feel weird following up because you planned those things. So the class isn't the end game. That 6th follow-up is the end game. And that'll completely change the mindset of how it goes. So anyway.
Brilliant, Jared. Thank you for sharing that. I love, Ben and Jared both did door-to-door sales, and I love listening to their perspectives and the sales trainings that they've gotten from doing that. It's really important to make sure, think about it. For those of you who have kids, I know for me as a parent, sometimes it takes them asking me 5 times for them to get anything out of me, right? It's true. Like sometimes you have to there are times when my daughter will ask me for something, if she can do something, and I'll just sit there, that same thing that I do with Andrew, and I'll just sit there and look at her, and she's like, are you listening to me? I'm like, I'm thinking about it. Ask me again later. And she'll come back. Hey mom, remember that thing we talked about? I'm like, yep, still thinking about it. I just sometimes, I don't know, it's a weird psychological thing, but it's true. It is absolutely true that we are creatures, and familiarity makes things feel okay. And so a lot of people, especially with essential oils, it feels very foreign to them because maybe it's their first even hearing about it or anything natural, right? So for me, essential oils seemed really bizarre to me. My mother-in-law was all into tinctures and salves and all this kind of weird stuff. And my mom is a respiratory therapist and medically inclined. And so when Andrew and I got married, I was like, your mom is crazy. And come to find out, she's really not. She's great. But I just didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know. And that's the part of the approach for other people, is that they don't know what you know, or they don't believe what you believe. And sometimes it takes patience on your part to slowly convert them. That's exactly what Brianna did with me in converting me to the business. But here I am, a true believer in network marketing. It works. So, okay, the last thing, we're over our 45 minutes. Okay, I was going to talk about closing a class. Do you guys want to do that, or do you want to save it for next time and do a Q&A right now? close a class. Okay, talk about closing. Okay. Okay, we're gonna do closing then. Okay, so for those of you, I feel like I'm talking a ton, and I know there are other people on here that could really talk about this too, but so in the time that we've done this business, we've been doing this for 7 years. I have taught thousands of people about essential oils. Out of those thousands of people, I would say easily over 10,000 in some form, right? Whether it's in a webinar or just through social media or whatever. Of those, let's say 10,000 people, we've had roughly 700 people that enrolled with us. And I think that the biggest thing, and I'm not saying any of that to just brag numbers, there's a point to this. The biggest thing is that a lot of people get hung up on the people who don't say yes. So if you can imagine, we're looking at numbers and percentages, only 700 people out of 10,000 people said yes to me. 9,300 people told me no. I don't care. Like, that's okay. And I think that it's so important to get it out of your head that you're attached to people saying yes, because it doesn't matter. There's other people out there. Tiffany Peterson always says, some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. And it's true. Like if I were so caught up on all the people that told me no, I would still be sitting in a black hole of mopiness. But I'm thrilled about the people that said yes to me, and that's who gets my energy. And so that's something that I think that is really important for everybody to understand, is that it isn't about the people that said no, it's about the people that are saying yes. And when somebody says no, put them on your follow-up list and keep moving on. Like, don't be attached to that outcome. So when you go into a close, it's okay if people tell you no, and you need to tell yourself that they're not rejecting you. It isn't some weird thing. Don't make it up into a big story. Like it's just, they're not ready. Just like I said, they either don't know what you know or they don't believe what you believe. That's okay. Maybe you do need to refine your approach. I don't know. I think there's always room for growth. But what I'm saying is that put them on your follow-up list and keep on going. So the number one key, and this is something that Andrew and I have been talking about extensively, and he actually came to me, and so we started teaching these classes once we got back to Utah with Andrew's leg that he's building in Utah, which, can I just say that my husband's amazing. He's pretty cool for like doing this and building his own leg and starting up this business on his own too.
Oh,
What?
he said, "Aw, thanks."
So we started doing these classes with the Nelsons, who are all amazing. And I had come in and had closed one of the classes, and I got some good feedback about, you know, how the close went off really well. And, you know, I didn't come across as like being salesy. It was super genuine. And, Andrew and I were talking about that, and he said, I just think the thing is that you're not attached to the outcome. You don't care if these people sign up or not. Like, you're not like emotionally attached to whether or not they're saying yes. Do I care if they sign up or? Yeah, I do, because I know the benefits that they get from them saying yes to essential oils. I know the benefits that they would have from them saying yes and getting started. But am I going to throw that down their throat or push them into it? Absolutely not. I'm not that attached to it. Everybody gets to make their own choice, right? And I've had a lot of practice with people saying no. Obviously, like 9,000 people told me no. My own mother for a really long time told me no. So it's okay. The thing is that when you are attached, when you go into a class and you start into that close and you're so attached to whether or not somebody's going to say yes, you start changing the energy. Like, you could totally rock that class. You're talking all about the high points of the oils and how amazing they are and all the things. And you get to that close and you start freaking yourself out and you just start sending off this like bad juju out into the class, and people are like, wait, something just shifted. Their energy shifted. Something bad is happening. They don't know what's happening. They're just feeling. They don't know that it's just because you're nervous. They don't know whatever that is. They don't know what's happening in your head. All they know is something shifted and now it feels icky. So make sure that you are checking your vibe, checking what you're putting out there at the onset of that part where you're getting to the close. Make sure that you are being really careful about the way that you're approaching. And I know that on months where you're trying to hit a new rank, you're building for Power of 3, you have an enrollment goal, whatever, like you can be super attached to those numbers, right? But you have to figure out a way to be more gatherer than hunter in those situations. Because if you're going to approach your close from a hunting aspect, like you're just going in for the kill, it can be really off-putting to people. So not being attached to the outcome is the biggest aspect of closing that you can work on and refine. And it's all just a mental thing in your head as far as what it is that you're putting out there into the world. The second thing is that a confused mind will always say no. I can't even tell you how many times back in the day of Blockbuster, I would walk into the video store and I'm like having analysis paralysis and leave because it's just like too overwhelming, right? If I have too many options, and Andrew knows this, he's like, if we're going to go out on a date, he's like, where do you want to eat? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, does anything sound good? I'm like, nope. He's like, okay, I'm going to give you 3 options and you can choose one of them. I'm like, okay, that's way better than a city full of restaurants. It's just, I mean, that's how it is. So when you go to people and you're like, we have all of these 10 enrollment kits and let me tell you all about all of them and all the benefits. And, you know, like people are like, no, I don't even know what I don't even know what you're saying anymore. What's an enrollment kit, right? Like a confused mind will always say no. So my recommendation is 2 kits. And this is something that also comes from what is that training? You guys were just talking about it.
Emerge.
Emerge. Thank you. Emerge. That's something that she talks about. Choose your 2 best kits, the ones that you feel like you can sell the best, whether it's in Natural Solutions, the Home Essentials, or whatever that kit is now called. Sorry, that's as much as they just changed the enrollment kits for the 18th time since I've been in this business. Or the Family Essentials that's now with the diffuser. I think it's a healthy something kit. Anyways, not the point. You need to know what they are called though. Okay, so don't teach a class unless you know what your kits are called. And the 2 that you're highlighting, highlight those 2 kits. Say this is the one I recommend, or this one is really great as well. One or the other. Then people are like, oh, that's an easy choice. My price point says I can get this kit, right? And that's another thing that we actually talked about last week is not making that financial decision for somebody else. So a lot of times we'll look at somebody and we'll prejudge them on what we think they can afford. And I find it comical because a lot of times people are frugal because they want to be able to spend money on the things that they want to spend money on, not because they don't have money. So when we go into it and we're like, there's no way that this person can afford this kit, we've already prejudged the situation and said they can or they can't afford whatever dollar amount, because there are times where people are like acting like they're just like money all over the place, right? And so we're like, oh, they can afford the Natural Solutions kit. And then they're like, yeah, that's just really not in the bank for me. Don't prejudge. Your job is to give them options and let them choose for themselves. And if you go into it again with like this judging thing, it's going to come across funky. Your energy is going to change. So just get really good at controlling your energy and figuring out how you're coming across to other people, because that it matters. I cannot emphasize that enough. Your energy and the way it comes across to people, it's going to be a big deal. Let me prove my point a little bit further. The other day I was at doTERRA's will call picking up BOGO orders, and there was a woman in there. And I looked at her and I recognized her. I still, to this moment, I have no idea where I know her from. I think it was from church at some point in the last 20 years. Here's the weird thing. I know I like her. I know that whatever interaction she and I had made me feel good. I can't remember who she is. I can't remember where I know her from, but I know the way she made me feel. That is what I'm talking about in you coming across to people. They will remember the way you make them feel. And if you come across salesy, or you come across attached, or you come across needy or greedy, or any of those things, you're going to turn them away. You're going to make them feel like there's something slimy happening. So become a master of your emotion, become a master of your energy and your vibe and the way that you project yourself out there to other people. It really, truly matters. Okay, there's also, let me see, I have a list here. I just want to, so again, in that silence aspect, give them time to make a choice about the kit that they're purchasing. That is really important too. If you are going to give them their two options, give them a minute to think about it. Don't fill that void, that silence with your unnecessary commenting or chatting or any of those things. You can ask, do you have any questions? And then you can sit there and wait for a response, but don't feel the need. And I know that for some people, like, I love silence. It's like my favorite thing. So when I ask somebody a question, I can sit there for 5 minutes. I don't care at all. And for those of you who have mentored with me, I mean, Julie, I'm sure that she can like attest to that. If I ask a question, I will sit there until I get the answer that I want. I'm not afraid of the silence. You have to not be afraid of the silence. I love that question, Julie. Which option works best for you? That's a great question to ask people. So don't feel like you need to like feel that void. Yes. And then zip it, just zip it, zip it. So the other thing too, is that I find that some people, where we have a wholesale option and then a bonus kind of option where you get to upgrade your account to a wellness advocate. I find that sometimes people get overwhelmed with the two options and they don't really understand. And then you're throwing out a bunch of extra verbiage and all those things. It's really okay to just start with a wholesale membership. And then when you meet up with them again for like their follow-up, their membership overview, their consultation, whatever you want to call it, your second meeting after their enrollment, where you go over their oils, you go over their health concerns, you get them on the LRP, you can talk to them about the business then, or you can talk to them about it some completely other time. Like when I signed up with Brianna, she didn't say anything about the business in that moment. It wasn't until later that she followed up and asked me. And I think that there is, unless you know that these people are like the person you want on your front line, like somebody you super duper want to partner with, you know that they will be open to this. Like, it's okay for you to just start with a wholesale membership and just work from that angle. That's not a bad angle. That's not a bad place to start from. If you start throwing out the business opportunity, sometimes you can really scare people away because they're like, oh, it's one of those things. Or they somehow think that that's something that they have to do in order to have their wholesale membership. Again, a confused mind says no. So give them a wholesale membership, give them 2 kits, which one works best for you? And then be quiet. Let them make that decision for themselves. Okay. Is there anything else on this list that... Okay, I am going to throw an unnamed person under the bus here really quick. When you go to teach a class, please represent wellness. No eating Doritos in your class. No eating McDonald's at your class. Don't drink a Blue Mountain Dew at your class. Like, the thing is like, we're trying to sell a wellness lifestyle. So show up as a wellness advocate. Look at these Nelsons. They're all laughing. You can guess it's one of them. I'm saying this in fun. It's just funsies. Okay, no, but seriously, like, you are representing a lifestyle, and we're trying to teach people how to convert to this lifestyle. And if we are not walking our talk, it becomes unbelievable for other people. It's like smoking a cigarette outside your class and then going in and talking about health and wellness. It just doesn't really go together. So make sure that the way that you are representing yourself, it matters to people. Even if you think that it isn't matter, people are watching you. They're watching, you know, does this person actually live what they're preaching? Or, you know, are they telling me to do it, but they can't do it themselves? It matters. That whole thing kind of matters. So, okay, I am 6 minutes over our 1 hour. I apologize for going over. There's all of my wisdom I wanted to share with you tonight. Does anybody have quick questions that they want to ask? You're welcome, Angie. Okay, awesome. I'm not getting any questions, so. We are recording. I don't know. I don't want to say that we're going to record every time because then people don't come and they think that they can just get the information, but really it's beneficial for you to be on live. So we have recorded this one. We probably will post it up somewhere, but I'm not going to tell you we're going to record every time because I want people on. So next Monday, we will be back, same time, same link. If you guys have people that you think it would be beneficial for them to get on, invite them. It's open to the whole team. So, okay. You guys have a good night.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.